I believe Indeed is the best platform you can use to hire new employees. So whether you've got 15 employees, 2 employees, 500 employees, I think this is the best way to hire. I'm gonna go ahead and jump onto the Indeed platform once you get logged in, and I'm not gonna show you that because that's really straightforward just as far as logging in. You have an option to create a brand new job or work off of jobs you already have that are existing. You can absolutely apply this to any field that you may be working in. So to create a new post, over here on the left hand side, I'm going to go ahead and hit create new, and I'm going to say create new job. What's really nice about the platform of Indeed is there are all these different jobs that are already pre-put in here, and it will really create your post for you based on what you put in for a job title. So if I'm looking for a parts specialist or a parts manager, it'll even down to something specifically like that get me a completely different description of what that job is. I'm gonna hit create a brand new post, and let's say that I'm looking for a parts manager, and it gives me lots of different options depending on what it is. I'm not automotive, I'm an equipment dealership, so I'm not gonna hit that. I'm just gonna generally hit parts manager, and I'm gonna tell how many people I'm looking for, so I can say 1 here, and I can go ahead and put where we're located. So we're in Jackson, Michigan. It's telling me that the market average is between $74,000 and $81,510. So the nice thing about Indeed, when you get to this position right here, is they're gonna tell you what pay is gonna be competitive for whatever you've got going. You may disagree with that. That might be the very reason you have not been able to hire the employees that you have been after, okay? So maybe you're not ready to hire a parts manager. Maybe you need to go and get a parts specialist, because that would be a vastly different pay than what this shows right here. So I believe in paying slightly above whatever market rate is. If I pay market rate, I'm gonna get an average business, right? If I pay below market rate, I'm gonna get below average employees. So keep that in mind as you're making this decision. It doesn't mean that you have to go out and hire all these manager type positions. It might be that you have to train people in these baseline positions, and over time you can train to exactly what you want. And maybe it's not the right thing for your business to go out and hire these managers that have all this experience, because you can get top level talent if you go out and hire managers, but it requires you to pay a higher than average market rate. So I would look at something like this, and if this was the very position that I was truly planning to hire, I should know that it's going to cost me the top side of that, if not more, depending on the strength of my business, okay? And if I look at this number and it's more than I want to pay, then I should reevaluate, and I should say, you know what, maybe I should come in and get a parts specialist. So moving on from there, here's the very nice thing about Indeed. So this has a very specific post, and I didn't need to type any of this, which is really nice. Now I picked a parts manager position, and I can tailor this, and I encourage you to tailor this area to something very specific about your business. For me, I can tell you that culture is an incredibly important thing, and I could make a note about how it's critically important that someone fits your culture, whether that's certain values you have or whatever it is. I think you should make something really personal to your business, on this section. So after you fill this out, you go to the next page. And on this next page, it's going to give you, do you have anything really specific that's important for them to know? Do they need experience in leadership? Do they need experience in customer support? You can go ahead and do that, and that is going to kind of pre-qualify these people to say, yes, I've done this, or no, I haven't. And you can do, as little or as many as you want, or none, as you go through this page. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. So for me, I would encourage you, when you get to this page, to require a resume. I think anyone who can't make the time to give you a resume shouldn't be someone you probably consider for a job. And then I can come down to this section and say how soon I'm trying to do this. So maybe it's 1 to 2 weeks. Okay, this is a really important part, right? This is where you're going to determine what that budget is. I would not do what they suggest. I'm going to go up here, what they kind of make not as visible to you, and I'm going to go to switch to a custom budget. And for me, I really think I get plenty of results at a $5 daily average. These guys are in it to make money. I'm gonna make them make $5 a day and that's it. I can get plenty of qualified candidates when I do that. Budget must be at least 10 for this job. So I've done 5 before. I think it probably depends. So this is like a managerial type of job, and so they may have upped what it needs to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and change it to 10. That's the minimum I can do in this case. And I'm gonna leave it on run continuously. So save and continue. It says I'm gonna get 100 to 150 applicants. That's plenty to sift through in a 4-week stretch, you know? And so if I'm thinking of trying to do this within a week, I'm gonna obviously not have that many, but that's something to consider. So lastly, I'm gonna look at managing screening, which I think is another very critical step that you need to do in this Indeed process. So when these applicants look and apply for your job, you can make something a requirement for them to answer or not. And the more things you require, the harder barrier of entry it is to apply. My thought is something kind of in the middle, right? To have a couple things that they need to check or not, I think is critical. If I'm making no requirements, it's simply hit a button, yes to apply. I want someone who's at least gonna take a minute to answer a couple of questions, yes or no, whatever it may be. And here's where I think you can get a huge edge on what you're doing against your competition to make sure you get the exact correct candidate. So where it says browse more questions, you're gonna go ahead and hit create custom question. And this is something you can specifically put in about this job, and it says write your own question to ask the applicants. Before I go in here, one simple question that I think has been imperative with my hiring process as of late is, among these 4 words, which 2 describe you best? Thinker, social, competitive, empathetic. These are personality trait questions. I have an entire video on the 4 personality traits that a person can be and why it is incredibly critical that when you're hiring, you hit the correct disposition for the job. So there are certain jobs that are much better for certain personality traits. And if you check out the video at the end of this that is about the love system, you will understand why we're asking this question. Now, the reality is people's personality traits do not define what they do, but it's what they do naturally best. And what you might be looking for will very much depend upon the team that you already have. So I could talk about personality traits all day long. All I can say is I highly encourage you to check out the video that we have done where I talk about the love system. After this point in time, there's just a few more things to click through. I'm gonna go ahead and see when this is live. It's probably gonna take a little bit of time. It says pending, but before long, applicants are gonna start streaming in. And it's really important that you sift through those, that you're looking for the correct personality traits for whatever your job is. And there is an entire process about what you need to do when you are going through interviews. And it starts with looking down your applicant list and starting to make some calls to evaluate. But if you want the best answer of what to do from that point forward, check out the next video that I recommend right here. Really appreciate you watching, and good luck with your Indeed search.